John Cooper Clarke is an English performance poet who first became famous during the punk rock era of the late 1970s when he became known as a punk poet. He released several albums in the late 1970s and early 1980s, and continues to perform regularly. His recorded output has mainly centered on musical backing from the Invisible Girls, which featured Martin Hannett, Steve Hopkins, Pete Shelley, Bill Nelson, and Paul Burgess. Career. Early life. Clarke was born in Salford, Lancashire in 1949. He lived in the Higher Broughton area of the city and became interested in poetry after being inspired by a teacher whom he described as a real outdoor guy, an Ernest Hemingway type, red-blooded, literary bloke. His first job was a laboratory technician at Salford Tech. He began his performance career in Manchester folk clubs, where he began working with Rick Goldstraw and his band The Ferrets. His first releases were on Martin Hannett's independent label Rabbit, starting with the EP Innocence in October 1977. Rabbit also released his debut LP Ode to the First Isla Maison de Fromage, which was a collection of live recordings, demos and rehearsals. This was reissued by Revolver Records in 1989, also making it his last album to date. He toured with Bill Nelson's band Bebop Deluxe in 1978 and was signed by Epic Records, who issued the Nelson-produced studio album Disguise in Love in 1978. Solo success. In 1979 he had his only UK Top 40 hit with Gimmicks. Clarke toured with Linton Kwesi Johnson, and has performed on the same bill as bands such as the Sex Pistols, The Fall, Joy Division, The Buzzcocks, Siouxsie and the Banshees, Elvis Costello, Rockpile and New Order. His set is characterized by lively, rapid-fire renditions of his poems, usually performed a cappella. Often referred to as the Bard of Salford, he usually refers to himself on stage as Johnny Clarke, the name behind the hairstyle. In 1979 he applied to join Actors Union Equity, but as there was already a member named John Cooper Clarke, he joined under the name Lenny Siberia. His 1980 album Snap, Crackle and Bop gave him his highest album chart placing, reaching number 26. Clarke appeared in a 1982 music documentary compilation Uck! A Music War, in which he performed his poem Health Fanatic. The film featured live performances of mainstream artists as well as more obscure bands using concert footage from around the world. He also starred in another 1982 film titled John Cooper Clarke, 10 Years in an Open-Necked Shirt, directed by Nick May and produced for the Arts Council of Great Britain and Channel 4. Somewhere between a narrative film, a series of music videos and a documentary, the film features interviews and performances by Clarke and Linton Kwesi Johnson among others. Clarke released a further album in 1982, Zip Style Method, and Clarke performed his live act less frequently, spending much of the 1980s addicted to heroin, living in a domestic partnership with singer and fellow addict Nico. He described this period of his life, "It was a feral existence. I was on drugs. It was hand-to-mouth." He made an appearance in 2 UK adverts for Sugar Puffs in 1988, taking second billing to the Honey Monster. He returned to live performance in the 1990s. Since 2000, he has toured several times supporting The Fall. He also duetted with a poem entitled Last Resort with Reverend John McClure at a Reverend and the Makers concert at London's Spread Eagle, which later was released as the B-side for the band's single Heavyweight Champion of the World. Clarke also recorded a song with the band entitled Dead Man's Shoes. Clarke's recording of Evidently Chicken Town from his album Snap, Crackle and Bop was also featured prominently in the closing scene of The Sopranos episode Stage 5. A live performance of the same poem appears in the film Control, with Clarke portraying himself in a recreation of a 1977 concert in which he supported Joy Division, despite having aged 30 years since the events depicted in the film. Evidently Chicken Town is featured in the made-for-television film Strumpet. Clarke's poem Out of Control Fairground was printed inside the Arctic Monkeys' single Fluorescent Adolescent CD, which was released on July 9, 2007. The poem is also the inspiration behind the single's video, in which clowns brawl. Another poem was printed inside the 10 Inches release of the same single. Alex Turner of the Arctic Monkeys has said he is very fond of Clarke's work and takes inspiration for lyrics from his poems. Clarke was the subject of a BBC4 documentary, Evidently. John Cooper Clarke, in May 2012, screened as part of the BBC's Punk Britannia season. Filmed in 2010 live from London's South Bank at the Queen Elizabeth II Hall, Clarke's South of the Border DVD is a complete contemporary performance recording. The DVD extras contains a performance of 36 hours with Frank Sidebottom on guitar. The DVD was released by Click Films in April 2013. Clarke appeared as himself in the 2012 film Ill Manners, directed by Ben Drew. He is shown performing a poem entitled Pity the Plight of Young Fellows, which he has described as the view of young people from a jaundiced old twat's point of view. He was also featured in a song entitled Pity the Plight on the film's musical album, also called Ill Manners, where he recited parts of the poem to a piano accompaniment. In July 2013, Clarke was awarded an honorary Doctorate of Arts in acknowledgement of a career which has spanned 5 decades, bringing poetry to non-traditional audiences and influencing musicians and comedians by the University of Salford. Upon receipt, Clarke commented, "Now I'm a doctor, finally my dream of opening a cosmetic surgery business can become a reality." Clarke's poem I Wanna Be Yours was adapted by Arctic Monkeys and frontman Alex Turner for the band's 5th album, AM, released on September 9, 2013. Speaking about the poem to the Euro's Matt Wilkinson, Clarke said, "I wrote it along with a load of others at the time. I tend to write like that. I remember when it was about 83 or 84 or something like that. It's come to my attention that it's the wedding favorite. The number of people that have said, I had that read at my wedding, or my husband proposed to me using that number it's been very useful in the world of modern romance. It is to modern wedding ceremonies what Always Look on the Bright Side of Life by Eric Idle is to humanist funerals. I probably go to a great many more funerals than you do, so take it from me." In 2013, Clarke voiced a poem about how eating chips makes people happy for a television commercial advertising McCain oven chips. It included the tagline Happy Days. In May 2013 and May 2014, Clarke appeared as a guest on BBC One's Have I Got News for You. In 2014, Clarke recorded a duet with the Manchester band, In Spiral Carpets, on their song Let You Down. The track is on the band's album In Spiral Carpets released on October 20, 2014. In October 2014, Clarke appeared as a guest on BBC Two's Nevermind the Buzzcocks. In November 2014 he appeared as a competitor on BBC One's Pointless Celebrities, where he was paired with journalist Rod Liddell. The pair won the contest, answering questions on David Bowie album tracks, each providing a pointless answer. Clarke donated his prize winnings to local back-to-work charity Signpost. Personal life: Clarke has lived, for nearly 20 years, in Colchester, Essex, with his second wife, Evie, who is French. They have one daughter, Stella. Discography: albums, Ode to the First Isla Maison de Fromage. Rabid, Disguise in Love, Epic, Walking Back to Happiness, Epic, Snap, Crackle and Bop, Epic, UK number 26, Zip Style Method, Epic, UK number 97, Compilations, Me and My Big Mouth, Epic, Word of Mouth, The Very Best of John Cooper Clarke, Sony, Singles, EPs, Innocence EP, Rabid, Post-War Glamour Girl, CBS, Gimmicks. Epic, UK number 39, Splat/Twat, Epic, The It Man, Epic, The Day My Pad Went Mad, Epic, Night People, Epic, Pity the Plight, DVDs, videos, 10 Years in an Open Neck Shirt Channel 4/British Arts Council, Zip Style, As It, Evidently, John Cooper Clarke, Click Films BBC, South of the Border, Live, Click Films Safe Cracker Pictures, Compilation Appearances, Short Circuit, Live at the Electric Circus, Virgin Daily Express, and I Married a Monster from Outer Space, UCK. A Music War, Warner's Health Fanatic, The Old Grey Whistle Test Volume 3, To Entertain I Don't Want to Be Nice, Poets, Punks, Beatniks and Counterculture Heroes, As It, includes rare JCC film footage from the 1980s, bibliography, 10 Years in an Open-Necked Shirt and Other Poems, Arena, references. External links, official website, John Cooper Clarke at the Internet Movie Database, John Cooper Clarke performs Beasley Street at Hammersmith Palais on YouTube, John Cooper Clarke interview 2012.